Have you ever had an incredible spiritual download of expansive messages, but just found it really hard to put into words? Let me tell you what I do that helps me get the words out. Stay with me, we're about to get mystical. Welcome to the Leather and Lace podcast, where the physical and the spiritual come together. I'm Joanna, and I'm here at your service, making spiritual sense out of the messy human experience. Today, I am sharing a spiritual hack that I use that helps me put words to these expansive spiritual insights and messages that I channel that often leave me speechless. And that spiritual hack is actually quite simple. Write a haiku. Now, I know that you might be thinking, haikus? You mean those tiny 3-line poems that we learned about in school? Yes, those. Haikus are not just poetry for me. You see, they also serve as containers for divine revelation. Here are 3 reasons that make haiku poetry an invaluable spiritual tool. Number 1, haiku poetry beautifully mirrors the sacred dance between the divine feminine and the divine masculine. Number 2, its brevity gifts the poet with humility and the reader with the freedom to expand and awaken something within them. And number 3, through this simple form, the haiku empowers the poet to bring the peace of heaven that they touch down to earth. Let me tell you how. Reason number 1, haikus and the sacred dance between the divine feminine and divine masculine. Now, after my meditation channelings, I often come away with insights that feel immense and expansive and really beyond words, which is just so divinely feminine. You know, it's intuitive, boundless, chaotic, and infinite. But when I pour that formless insight into the vessel of a haiku, with the strict lines and the syllabic boundaries associated with the divine masculine, well, something alchemical happens. The haiku forces me to distill the expansive truth into its purest essence, like spiritual moonshine. The divine masculine gives it form. He provides the container, the structure, the discipline, through which the beauty and intuition of the divine feminine can take shape. So, when you pair the feminine's fastness with the masculine's boundaries, something sacred happens. Intuition becomes expression and spirit becomes matter. And in that sense, the haiku is a perfect marriage of these 2 energies. Reason number 2, less of the poet, more for the reader. Now here is what I find most beautiful about haikus. They tell the reader very little. There's just so much that isn't said. The poet just gives enough to stir something awake in the reader's own consciousness. So when someone reads your haiku, what they experience isn't really your insight, it's theirs, because the meaning expands inside of them. It's kind of like a jack in the box. You know what I mean? You see, that's what happens when someone reads your haiku. You've taken this massive spiritual insight and you've folded it into a tiny poetic container. So when someone reads it, when someone opens it, boom, your 22 syllables come to life. That's why a haiku, at its heart, is an act of service. It's not self-indulgent like these longer poems can be. It's more of an offering. These days, it feels like reflective poetry is getting longer and longer. I find myself having to scroll through Instagram captions that are miles long of poetry, and while they are beautiful, sometimes it starts to feel a little bit much, a little self-focused. But a haiku, just 3 lines, invites the reader in. The poet is hardly present in a haiku, and yet the reader is gifted with everything that they're ready to receive. Reason number 3, haikus bring heaven down to earth. Now, when you harness your vast spiritual insights and distill them into a form as small as a haiku, something magical happens. You bring a piece of heaven down to earth. You take something ineffable an experience of the divine and make it portable, tangible, and human. You harmonize the leather, that is the human experience, with the lace and delicacy of spiritual truth. So I want you to try this out for yourself. Not right now, but later. I want you to set aside at least 10 minutes for meditation. Sit quietly, breathe, and just listen. Open your awareness to whatever insights arise, even if those insights come in the form of a feeling, an image, or just a sense of knowing. Then, when you're done, take that expansive insight and distill it into a haiku. 5 syllables for the first line, 7 syllables for the second line, and 5 syllables for the last line. Allow these parameters and limitations to be your guide and container. Let them shape the formless into something beautiful. And then read it back to yourself. See what it evokes in you. You may find that the same haiku, when read later, reveals a completely new layer of meaning. Again, this is why haikus are so awesome, okay? Because just like the reader, your haiku can change you too. Allow me to share one of my haikus with you. Wondrous moment, the divinity of now, conspired by all. Now, I'm not going to tell you what this poem means to me. I offer that gift of expansion to you. I'd love to hear what you feel when you hear it and, what it means to you. Share your reflections in the comments. I'd love to read what this haiku awakens in you. And feel free to share the haikus you write after you try this out for yourself. So, the next time you receive an expansive spiritual message, something vast, something beyond words, don't let it get stuck in the void, formless and unspoken. Give it a home. Give it form. Write it into a haiku. Because again, the haiku is more than a poem. It's a vessel, a bridge between heaven and earth. It's the lace of spiritual truth woven into the leather of human experience. Thank you for watching the Leather and Lace podcast. I hope that you feel empowered to harness the bits of heaven you encounter into small yet mighty haikus. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, so you don't miss any of my upcoming channeled haikus, which are inspired by messages I receive during meditation. I also channel by way of the tarot, so you don't want to miss those videos either. Until next time, stay cool, stay grounded, and embrace the sacred. Bye for now, friends.